It's your St. Mary's Gaels Baseball Week in Review and Preview, May 12th through the 14th, 2023. As the Gaels, their final West Coast Conference, they conclude their West Coast Conference schedule from the week. They end up winning in Game 1, actually it was the Toreros winning Game 1, 5-4 at the new Gallagher Stadium. Then on Saturday, the Gaels end up winning 6-0 with a shutout, and with that win coupled with the BYU Cougars loss, that gave the Gaels a spot into the WCC Tournament, which will start coming up 1 week from tomorrow, next Wednesday, as we're doing this taping. And then on Sunday, the Gaels fall 10-8 to the Toreros. That pretty much ends any hopes of them getting a bye. So right now we're looking at it as the Gaels finish the West Coast Conference slate 14-13, 21-24 overall. They are going to be right in for the moment will be the number 6 seed if the season ended today, but the best they could do is a number 5 seed, and that the only way that could happen if Gonzaga gets swept if Santa Clara sweeps Gonzaga over the weekend. They'll be playing over in Santa Clara for their regular season finale. If that was to happen, both St. Mary's and Gonzaga will have the same identical records, but St. Mary's, by virtue of taking 2 out of 3 over the Gonzaga Bulldogs up in Spokane, would have that tiebreaker. They could move from number 6 to number 5. So most likely, the Gaels will be playing in the knockout game 1 week from tomorrow in Vegas. That will end up being the way it's going to be set up. And so, Greg, your thoughts? Finally getting the new stadium in and playing your first.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to see Saturday, see some alums come back, and obviously to see Brother Ron there. Brother Ron's been impactful to so many people from his time as president of St. Mary's College, and he was so happy, he was glowing, and I think everybody there was enjoying the day. And I'm glad it's finally open. I'm glad Brother Ron got to see it open with a win.
Well, it was very important because that was not only that, because he for Ronald Gallagher, he definitely for Ronald Gallagher, from the time I think when Jed Soto was here to Eric Valenzuela, they have you got to give those two a lot of credit for getting this stadium, this project been going on for more than a decade, and finally you were able to close it out.
Yeah, that's part of the fun, is having all those people be able to see it, whether it's live or on a stream TV somewhere. Eric Valenzuela's got to enjoy this. Some of the donors that have given over the years to stack up the money that made it possible. Somebody like Ken Vincent will see it live soon. So I think when you walk in, it takes your breath away a little bit, because for a long time people have known that it's just kind of been temporary seating, and now it's permanent, it's locked in, and it's Brother Ronald Gallagher Stadium.
Yeah, and also similar thing I remember 7 years ago when the newly renovated Dante Benedetti Diamond was open. Coach Giordano had a lot to say to that, and his time at the Hilltop, and people like Mike Paul and Amy Meyer, and also Con Dempsey to Miss Barbara Bricali and Kevin Crone, in similar parallels of Ronald Gallagher Stadium at the time, and putting in upgraded facilities.
Yeah, one of the best parts of college athletics is you get a chance to meet so many good, warm, giving people who make it possible for students, the athletes, to have what they need. It's not just the stadiums, it's also the money to travel by bus and by plane and have the experience they have. And those people know what they're doing. They're investing in the best of the best. Student athletes they're balanced and they're skilled. They can take on a 56-game season, and they can still do so well in the classroom. So they know what they're doing. They're investing in the future, and you have to be grateful for the people that give the money, but really you get to meet such interesting people who are also happen to be very generous.
Yeah, and also, what's going to be the next project after this, the next phase of the stadium? We got the main course in. What's going to happen next in the coming months ahead?
Well, the cleanup, we need to just do some small projects around the facility, replace some turf in both pens, and then also in front of our dugouts. That's small stuff, but it'll make a big difference in terms of the look. Long term, there's going to be a plan for a team building that will incorporate a couple different sports out past left field. It'll be a beautiful place, beautiful building, and that'll serve the athletes as a locker room and kind of a team center.
We could be doing podcasts, and that you get your own office, a full office eventually.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Well, I think it helps when they definitely get into the West Coast Conference Tournament this year for the first time in 4 years. First time ever for you is a difference, so. Well, you keep winning games and putting together some consistency. And I know the last 3 years has been kind of challenging because of a transition. You taking over a coach like Valenzuela had great success, averaged about 34 wins in the 4 years they were successful, including a share of the West Coast Conference regular season championship in 16, winning the tournament, going to their first ever outright, their first ever trip to the regionals that year, and then some.
Yeah, they had some really good teams, and it's fun to see what they were made of. Good pitching and really good defense, and I think that's what you're starting to see with us. Is our pitching really took a jump, and our defense is 1 or 2 in the league right now. So just got to keep building, keep doing it right, and it's a slow, humble road that gets you where you want to go, and there are no quick fixes. I
don't think there's no quick fixes, and this is, a lesson to be, for a lot of these, you look at the conference, like we said, this year it was the balance, the changing of the guard. The two teams, I use it as an example, St. Mary's bouncing back, Santa Clara having one of their finest seasons since 1997. You've seen the drop-off of BYU was a perennial contender. They're playing in their final year. Luckily, we don't have to go have the short week next year, but one time doing Easter next year. And you look at San Francisco and Pepperdine, both of those two teams, especially San Francisco, are definitely going to be in a rebuilding mode for coming down the road. But I think if you look at the conference, we'll be previewing the conference sometime next week before you guys take off for Vegas. If you look, look at it right now. I think Gonzaga loses all 3 to Santa Clara, that will put you guys into the number 5 seed.
Yeah, we'll let that sort it out. We're just getting ready to play this weekend, and then we'll move on, play next weekend. But it's been a really good league. I'll tell you, LMU is 93 in the RPI. And I don't always understand or see how that RPI reflects the strength of teams. LMU's the best 93 RPI I've ever seen. They're a very good team. They're leading our conference. They're going to end up in that tournament probably as the 1, and they're a very, very good team. So if they happen to be the one that gets into a regional, I'd bet on them.
Yep, and then also this weekend is also going to be graduation. 3 seniors going to graduate, and that's the fun stuff. As this week is the graduation week, finals week, graduation week for most of, not only for the student athletes, most student athletes, and for students. This is the week of graduation and finals, getting things done, and then they're going to be heading off for the summer.
Yeah, we've got quite a few guys graduating. Quite a few of them also have eligibility left, so they're not done with baseball. But Bill Ralston will be finished, and
history.
Yeah,
he'll be gone, but I think, assuming his dad will be back next year.
I sure hope so. Coach Ralston can coach.
Yep, and there's some other good infield coaches that we're not going to discuss on the air, are very good infield coaches, though, too. So, we'll see what happens. We'll do that in our off season. And then also pretty much, you look at this conference, I think any of these 6 teams are in there now because like it's all set. The 6 teams are going to go, including St. Mary's, but we don't know what the seeding is going to be pairing. Looks like LMU, if they were to win, if LMU was to win at least 2 games or win 1, they're going to pretty much clinch the top spot in the league. And then in San Diego, they're pretty much. Portland has to pretty much win all 3. They're playing San Francisco, and they to get that bye. The top 2 gets the bye. The other 4 of the 6 will play in a 1-game knockout to get into that double elimination semifinal round in the WCC. So we'll be giving you updates as the road to Omaha begins. Greg, congratulations. First time is always the first one, getting there for the first time.
Thank you, B. Great to see you.
That's Greg Moore, the St. Mary's Gaels baseball recap, week in review, and preview. And now coming up is an update around the West Coast Conference baseball standings for this coming weekend. So the St. Mary's Gaels will wrap up their 2023 college baseball season schedule slate as they'll have a brief 2-game series to wrap up the regular season on the road for a non-conference matchup with the Fresno State Bulldogs from the Mountain West Conference. Just going to be a short 2-game series till Thursday and Friday, with graduation taking place back at St. Mary's campus in Moraga on Saturday. The last time the Gaels played was they earned their spot, of course, last Saturday with a 6-0 shutout over the University of San Diego Toreros, as the Toreros have taken 2 out of 3, as the Gaels end up christening the new brother Ronald Gallagher Stadium with a soft opening welcome family and friends of the program, and they end up winning as leadoff man Gavin Napier hit his 2nd homer in as many days with a no-doubter, a solo shot over the fence to get the party started. The Gaels end up losing the rubber match 10-8 on senior day in a senior day slugfest shootout in Moraga. About the Fresno State baseball Bulldogs, coming off a week where they claimed 3 Mountain West weekly honors after completing a series sweep over the UNLV running Rebels. Outfielder Grady Morgan went 7 for 16 with a .438 at the plate, hitting 3 homers in a double last week with a team-leading 1,063 slugging percentage. And then also, for the 3rd time in 2023, Roman Angelo was named the Mountain West Conference Pitcher of the Week. He pitched his first career complete game at Fresno State's 10-1 win over UNLV with only 3 hits and no earned runs against him, though through the 9 innings he allowed just 1 walk and tossed a career-high 10 strikeouts while holding the Rebels to a 100-team batting average. Murph Gray claimed his 6th Freshman of the Week, allowing his performance in a contest with Cal Poly Mustangs and the UNLV Rebels. Gray went 4 for 14 with batting .308 that last weekend against UNLV with 3 RBIs and a walk. I look of all the games for the action, as now we look into the West Coast Conference slate for the weekend. It will be the Gaels taking on Fresno State for a short 2-game series. That will be both Thursday and Friday evening at 6 p.m. Catch the action on smcgales.com from our good friends from the Mountain West Conference Network. And then they'll play for 2, and then they'll be back. Then they'll be back on campus for the big graduation for the seniors on Saturday, and then for the rest of the slate of college baseball in the West Coast Conference, as we're into the final weekend, Pacific will take on Loyola Marymount. They right now sit at a 2.5 game lead. That will be for the Lions. They own a 2.5 game lead with only 3 to play, and it's a very important, or actually they begin only a game up on them with 1 to play with San Diego. And Pacific and LMU. That's a important game at Page Stadium in Los Angeles. The Gaels' magic number, or I should say the Lions' magic number to clinch would be 3. Or 2.5 games. Actually, it would be down to at least 3 or 1 game to wrap it up. And then it was, and that's an important game. Portland will travel to the Hilltop to take on the San Francisco Dons, as the Portland Pilots right now sit in 3rd place. They're 3 games back, and they trail San Diego they end up trailing by a game and a half. They're in 3rd place, and that's significant because if Portland needs to win all 3 games to win the West Coast to get the number 2 seed and the first round bye, and they're going to be playing 3 this weekend up in the Hilltop in San Francisco. Then it will be Gonzaga and Portland, or Gonzaga in it'll be Gonzaga in Santa Clara, I should say, at Schott Stadium in Santa Clara. The Broncos sit at 14-10. They're a half game behind they're both a half game ahead of them, and Gonzaga are both tied for 4th in the WCC. If Santa Clara wins 1 game, they will pretty much lock up 4th place, the number 4 seed. However, if Gonzaga was to sweep Santa Clara, they would end up, if they were to win all 3, they would then end up being the number 3 seed, or so maybe still an outsized chance of the number 2. Gonzaga needs to win out and needs some help to get that. However, if Santa Clara was to win all 3 over Gonzaga, with the Gaels are playing out of conference, non-conference, then both teams will end up, then it'll be St. Mary's will jump to the number 5 seed. They cannot be a 2 seed. They were the best, or they could finish no higher than 5th. If Gonzaga lose all 3 of their 3 games to Santa Clara in Santa Clara, then most likely the Gaels will move up to the number 5 seed, and Gonzaga will drop to number 6. They will end up playing 3 at Schott Stadium to close out their slate schedule. And then to wrap up the rest of the conference that really has no bearing, Pepperdine will take on BYU in Provo. BYU sits at 11-13. They cannot get in, even if they sweep Pepperdine. If they do sweep Pepperdine, they would finish with the same identical record with St. Mary's or with Gonzaga, or all 3, but both Gonzaga and BYU, or Gonzaga and St. Mary's, both own those tiebreaker advantages with their head-to-head series wins over the Cougars. And then just a reminder and then San Diego Toreros, they sit at 17-10. They are off this weekend, and they would pretty much clinch the number 2 seed in a first round bye if Portland loses at least 1 of 3 games to the Dons on the Hilltop in San Francisco this weekend. So all 3 games will be this weekend. That will be, and you can catch all the updates on the WCC network as well. The 2023 West Coast Conference Baseball Tournament will begin next Wednesday, May 24th to the 27th in Henderson, Nevada. And it's also a reminder that the seedings have not been set yet, depending on the outcome of these weekend series games. The winner of the knockout games, seeded 3 through 6, will advance to the double elimination semifinal round. And then the championship would be on next Saturday, May 27th. The winner of the West Coast Conference Tournament will get the automatic bid to an NCAA regional. The regionals will begin coming up in 2 weeks from next Friday, on June 2nd through the 5th. And the NCAA selection show will be coming up on May 29th at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, and here on the West Coast, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can catch the action on ESPN2. The regionals then after that will start on June the 2nd through the 5th. Then the Super Regionals will be June 9th through the 13th. Then the College World Series will start on June 16th. Then wrapping up the College World Series 2 of the best of 3 round will be from starting on June 24th. For the latest news on St. Mary's Gaels athletics and so much more, go to smcgaels.com. For now, I'm Prime Professor B. Davis. Thank you for listening to the St. Mary's Gaels Baseball Week in Review and Preview on Smc-Tv Plus Audiocast. St. Mary's Gaels Baseball is in association with the Satellite Digital Media News Network.